Philosophy is more than abstract thinking. It's an invitation to question the very fabric of reality. Some ideas can leave you feeling curious. Others might unsettle your sense of certainty. As you settle in for the night, these concepts encourage you to reflect deeply, stretching your mind beyond the ordinary. Imagine letting go of daily worries and drifting into thoughts that challenge what you know. This gentle mental exploration can be the perfect companion for sleep, helping you relax while your mind wanders through intriguing possibilities. Tonight, let philosophy guide you into a space where questions are welcome and reflection is effortless. Philosophy is the art of asking deep, fundamental questions about life, existence, and what it means to know something. It's not just about abstract theories. It's about challenging assumptions and exploring why we believe what we believe. Philosophers examine the nature of reality, the limits of human knowledge, and the principles that guide our actions. Imagine wondering whether the world around you is truly as it seems, or questioning how we can be certain of anything at all. Through careful reasoning and debate, philosophy helps us make sense of complex ideas and find clarity in uncertainty. Ultimately, it's a practical tool for understanding ourselves and the world we live in. Imagine a ship sailing across the sea. Over time, every plank, sail, and nail is replaced, one by one. At the end of this process, not a single original part remains. Is it still the same ship? This is the ship of Theseus' paradox, a classic thought experiment that challenges our understanding of identity and change. It asks us to consider what truly defines something, its physical components, its history, or perhaps the meaning we attach to it. The paradox reveals how our sense of continuity often depends less on the materials themselves and more on the story we tell about them. Imagine spending your entire life in a cave, only able to see shadows projected on a wall. For Plato, this allegory represents how most of us experience reality, not directly, but through filtered perceptions and assumptions. The shadows are comfortable and familiar, but they're only a fraction of the truth. Stepping outside the cave means questioning what you've always accepted and daring to see things as they really are. It's uncomfortable at first, even blinding, but with time, your perspective widens. True understanding isn't just about seeing more, it's about recognizing how limited our old views were. The challenge is to look beyond the shadows and embrace the light of genuine insight. Picture this: a supremely clever being dedicated to tricking you at every turn. Descartes called it the evil demon, a force so powerful it could manipulate all your senses, making you believe in a reality that doesn't exist. If every sight, sound, and touch could be an illusion, how can you ever trust what you experience? This thought experiment shakes the very foundation of certainty. It pushes us to question not just what we know, but how we know it. In the face of such doubt, Descartes sought a single truth that even the most cunning deceiver couldn't undermine. Solipsism is the intriguing idea that only your own mind is certain to exist, and everything else, people, places, even the world itself, could be nothing more than an illusion. Imagine walking through your day, wondering if every conversation, every smile, is simply a creation of your own consciousness. This concept challenges our deepest assumptions about reality and connection. It can feel unsettling, but it also invites us to question how we know what's real. By exploring solipsism, we become more aware of the boundaries between perception and reality, and the importance of genuine human connection in grounding our experiences. Zeno's paradoxes challenge our most basic assumptions about movement. Imagine trying to walk across a room, but before you reach the other side, you must first get halfway there, and before that, halfway to halfway, and so on. An infinite number of steps. According to Zeno, this means you could never actually arrive because there's always another fraction to cross. Yet every day, we move without hesitation, crossing streets, climbing stairs, and shaking hands. These paradoxes push us to question how we experience reality versus how we logically understand it. They remind us that sometimes our minds can get tangled in ideas that seem impossible, even when our bodies prove otherwise. Imagine being told that every moment of your life, every decision, every joy, every regret would repeat endlessly, exactly as it is, for all eternity. This is the core of Nietzsche's idea of eternal recurrence. It's not just a philosophical puzzle, It's a challenge to examine how you're living right now. Would you change the way you act if you knew you had to relive each day over and over? Nietzsche's question pushes us to confront our choices and ask ourselves, are we living in a way we'd be willing to repeat forever? It's a powerful tool for self-reflection, urging us to shape our lives into something we'd gladly experience again and again. Imagine waking up to discover that everything you know, your memories, your sensations, even your deepest emotions, are simply electrical signals fed into your brain by a computer. This is the essence of the brain in a vat thought experiment. It challenges us to question reality itself. If your brain were suspended in a laboratory, connected to a powerful simulator, how could you ever tell the difference between real life and an artificial experience? The idea isn't just science fiction. It pushes us to consider how much we rely on our senses and whether certainty is ever truly possible. It's a reminder that our confidence in the world around us is built on assumptions we rarely question. Next time you feel sure about what's real, remember, sometimes the most convincing realities are the ones we never think to doubt. The trolley problem presents a scenario where you must decide between two difficult choices: letting a runaway trolley continue on its path or diverting it, sacrificing one life to save several others. At first glance, it seems like a straightforward test of morality, but the deeper you look, the more complex it becomes. Is it right to actively intervene, or does inaction carry its own ethical weight? This dilemma highlights how our values, emotions, and reasoning clash when faced with real consequences. It's a vivid reminder that ethics rarely offer simple answers, especially when human lives are at stake. The trolley problem challenges us to confront uncomfortable truths about decision-making, responsibility, and the limits of logic in moral choices. Pascal's wager is a famous idea from the philosopher Blaise Pascal. He argued that even without clear evidence for God's existence, it's smarter to believe just in case. The logic is simple. If God exists and you believe, you gain everything. If he doesn't, you lose nothing. On the other hand, if you don't believe and God does exist, the potential loss is infinite. This approach treats belief almost like a bet, weighing possible outcomes rather than absolute certainty. It's a practical way to think about faith, focusing on risk and reward rather than proof. The problem of evil is one of the oldest and most challenging questions in philosophy and theology. If God is truly all-powerful and entirely good, it seems logical to expect a world free from suffering and wrongdoing. Yet everywhere we look, we encounter pain, injustice, and hardship. Some argue that evil exists because humans have free will, and with that freedom comes the possibility of making harmful choices. Others suggest that facing adversity can lead to personal growth, empathy, or a deeper understanding of life. Still, the question remains unsettling. Why would a benevolent and omnipotent being allow so much suffering? This dilemma continues to spark debate, inviting us to reflect on the nature of good, evil, and the mysteries of existence. The paradox of the stone asks a deceptively simple question. Can an all-powerful being create a stone so heavy that even they cannot lift it? At first glance, it seems to challenge the very idea of omnipotence. If the answer is yes, then there's something the being cannot do, lift the stone. If the answer is no, then there's something the being cannot do, create the stone. This puzzle isn't just about theology. It's a classic example of how language and logic can twist our understanding of power and possibility. Ultimately, the paradox invites us to think more deeply about the limits of definitions and the nature of true power. Socrates once said, "The only true wisdom is knowing you know nothing." This idea might seem counterintuitive at first, but it's actually a powerful tool for personal growth. By admitting that we don't have all the answers, we open ourselves up to learning, curiosity, and genuine connection with others. It takes confidence to say, "I don't know," and even more to seek out new perspectives. In conversations, this mindset invites deeper understanding and helps us avoid the trap of pretending to be experts. Embracing Socratic wisdom isn't about doubting yourself. It's about staying humble and always ready to learn. Picture yourself tasked with creating the rules for a new society. But there's a catch. You have no idea where you'll end up within it. You could be rich or poor, powerful or vulnerable. part of any background or identity. This thought experiment, known as the veil of ignorance, forces us to confront our biases and rethink what fairness truly means. When stripped of personal advantage, most people lean toward systems that protect everyone equally. It's a practical way to reveal our deepest values about justice and empathy. By imagining ourselves behind this veil, we gain insight into how to build environments where everyone feels secure and respected. The paradox of tolerance asks a challenging question. Should a tolerant society accept intolerance within its ranks? At first glance, it seems fair to allow all viewpoints, even those that oppose tolerance itself. But imagine a group that openly rejects the rights of others. If their ideas spread unchecked, the foundation of a tolerant society begins to crumble. The real dilemma is balancing freedom of expression with the need to protect inclusion and respect. By setting boundaries against hate or exclusion, a society can preserve its core values without becoming oppressive. Navigating this paradox requires confidence, empathy, and a clear understanding of what truly sustains human connection. Imagine for a moment that everything you see, feel, and experience is part of a vast, sophisticated computer simulation. The simulation hypothesis suggests that our universe, with all its complexity and detail, could actually be the product of advanced technology, created by beings far more evolved than ourselves. This idea isn't just science fiction. It's been seriously considered by philosophers and scientists alike. If true, it would mean that our reality is carefully programmed, and every interaction, from the laws of physics to our daily conversations, is part of a grand design. While there's no concrete evidence yet, the hypothesis challenges us to rethink what we know about existence, perception, and the nature of reality itself. It invites us to question, how would we even recognize if we were inside a simulation? And what would that mean for our sense of self and purpose? The problem of induction asks a deceptively simple question. Can we truly trust that what happened before will happen again? Imagine you see the sun rise every morning. It's easy to assume it will rise tomorrow too. But this expectation is built on patterns we've observed, not on absolute certainty. Philosophers like David Hume argued that our belief in the future mirroring the past is a habit, not a logical guarantee. This uncertainty shapes how we make decisions, predict outcomes, and even build confidence in our daily routines. Recognizing the limits of induction invites us to question assumptions and stay open to surprises, making our thinking both more flexible and more resilient. The omnipotence paradox asks a deceptively simple question. Can an all-powerful being create a task it cannot accomplish? Like making a stone so heavy it cannot lift it? At first glance, this seems to expose a contradiction at the heart of unlimited power. If the being can create such a limit, it is no longer all-powerful, because it cannot overcome the limit. But if it cannot create the limit, then its power is not truly without bounds. Philosophers use this paradox to explore the nature of power, language, and logic itself. Ultimately, the paradox challenges us to think more deeply about what we mean by omnipotence and whether true, unlimited power is even logically possible. Imagine you have a single grain of sand. Clearly, that's not a heap. Add another grain, still not a heap. But as you keep adding grains, at some point, it suddenly feels right to call it a heap. The paradox of the heap, also known as the Socrates paradox, asks, where exactly does this transformation happen? There's no obvious answer. This puzzle highlights how our everyday concepts, like heap, are often vague and flexible. It challenges us to think about how we define things and why our minds are comfortable with blurry boundaries in language and perception. The paradox of inquiry asks a simple but profound question. How do you begin searching for knowledge about something when you have no idea what it is? Imagine trying to solve a puzzle without knowing what the final picture looks like. If you don't know what you're looking for, how do you recognize it when you find it? This dilemma highlights a fundamental challenge in learning and discovery. Often, the first step is to ask better questions, even if they're imperfect. By exploring, making guesses, and refining your understanding, you gradually shape the unknown into something recognizable. The process itself, curiosity, trial, and error, becomes the key to unlocking new knowledge. The liar paradox is a classic puzzle that challenges our understanding of truth and language. When someone claims, "I am lying," it creates a loop. If they're telling the truth, then they must be lying. But if they're lying, then they're actually telling the truth. This simple statement exposes a flaw in the way we define honesty and deception. Philosophers have debated this paradox for centuries, using it to illustrate the limits of logic and the complexity of human communication. It's a reminder that not every question has a straightforward answer, and sometimes language itself can tie us in knots. The liar paradox invites us to look deeper into how we express and interpret truth in everyday life. The paradox of free will challenges us to consider whether our choices are truly our own. If every action, thought, and decision is shaped by prior causes, our upbringing, environment, even our biology, can we honestly say we have control? Imagine standing at a crossroads, believing you're free to pick any path, while unseen forces gently nudge your steps. Some argue that the feeling of choice is just an illusion, a story our minds tell to make sense of complex influences. Yet others believe that even within these constraints, we carve out moments of genuine autonomy. The debate isn't just philosophical. It touches how we see responsibility, change, and the power to shape our lives. So, do you really have a choice, or are you simply following a script written long before you arrived at this moment? Consider this. Water is vital for our survival, yet it's often inexpensive. Diamonds, on the other hand, are luxurious and non-essential, but they command a high price. This is known as the paradox of value. The answer lies in scarcity and utility. Water is abundant in most places, so its price stays low, even though we need it every day. Diamonds are rare and difficult to obtain, making them valuable despite their limited practical use. This contrast reveals how market value is shaped not just by necessity, but by availability and desire. Imagine standing in front of a wall of cereal boxes, each promising something special. At first, having so many choices feels empowering, but as you weigh the options, doubt creeps in. What if you pick the wrong one? This is the paradox of choice. More options can actually lead to more anxiety, not more satisfaction. Studies show that when we're faced with too many possibilities, we often feel overwhelmed and less confident in our decisions. Instead of feeling grateful for the variety, we might regret our choice or worry about missed opportunities. Sometimes, simplifying our options can lead to greater peace of mind and genuine happiness. The paradox of the unexpected hanging challenges our intuition about surprise and prediction. Imagine a prisoner is told he will be executed on a weekday, but the exact day will be a surprise. The prisoner reasons that if the execution hasn't happened by Thursday, it must be Friday. Yet then, it wouldn't be a surprise. He continues this logic, eliminating each day, and concludes he can't be executed at all. Yet when the executioner arrives unexpectedly, the prisoner is genuinely surprised. This puzzle highlights the limits of logical reasoning when it comes to uncertainty and expectation. It reminds us that even when we think we've outsmarted a situation, reality can still catch us off guard. The paradox of the barber is a classic puzzle that challenges our understanding of logic and self-reference. In this scenario, the barber is defined as the person who shaves everyone who does not shave themselves. The twist comes when we ask, who shaves the barber? If the barber shaves himself, then by definition he should not, because he only shaves those who do not shave themselves. But if he does not shave himself, then he falls into the group of people the barber must shave. This creates a logical contradiction with no clear solution. The puzzle illustrates how certain rules, when applied to themselves, can break down and reveal deeper complexities in reasoning. It's a reminder that not all problems have straightforward answers, especially when self-reference is involved. Imagine Achilles, the fastest runner in ancient Greece, racing against a slow-moving tortoise. The tortoise gets a small head start. As Achilles reaches the point where the tortoise began, the tortoise has moved a bit further ahead. Every time Achilles catches up to where the tortoise was, the tortoise has advanced just a little more. This is the heart of the paradox. It seems Achilles can never overtake the tortoise because there will always be another tiny gap to close. Yet in reality, we know Achilles will eventually pass the tortoise. The paradox challenges our intuition about infinity and motion, showing how breaking a problem into endless steps can sometimes obscure simple truths. At first glance, buying a lottery ticket seems irrational. The odds of winning are astronomically low, and statistically, you're almost guaranteed to lose your money. But here's the paradox. For many people, the small investment is about more than just the potential payout. It's about the thrill of hope, the brief moment when you imagine your life transformed. Psychologically, that feeling can be worth the price of admission. In fact, studies show that the anticipation and daydreaming triggered by a lottery ticket can boost your mood, even if you never win. So while it may not be rational in terms of pure math, the emotional payoff is real. And for some, that's enough to justify the gamble. Imagine a planet just like Earth, with lakes and rivers filled with a liquid that looks, tastes, and behaves exactly like our water. But here's the twist. On this twin Earth, the liquid isn't made of H2O, but of a completely different chemical formula. Is it still water? This question challenges how we define things, by their appearance, their function, or their underlying nature. The paradox forces us to consider whether words like water depend on what something is made of, or simply how it seems to us. It's a powerful reminder that our everyday concepts can hide deep philosophical puzzles about meaning and reality. The grandfather paradox is one of the most intriguing puzzles in the world of time travel. Imagine you go back in time and stop your grandfather from ever meeting your grandmother. If you succeed, you would never be born. So how could you have traveled back in time in the first place? This scenario highlights a logical contradiction that challenges our understanding of cause and effect. Some theories suggest that such actions could create alternate timelines, while others argue that the past is fixed and cannot be changed. The paradox forces us to question the very nature of time, destiny, and our place within the universe. The paradox of the ravens challenges our intuition about evidence and logic. It asks, if every raven is black, does seeing a green apple, something that is not a black raven, actually support this claim? At first glance, it seems absurd. But logically, every non-black object that isn't a raven technically fits the rule. This highlights how confirmation can sometimes come from unexpected places, forcing us to rethink what counts as meaningful evidence. The paradox reminds us that our minds crave simple answers, but reality often demands a deeper look at how we draw conclusions. Winning the lottery seems like a dream come true, but for many, it quickly turns into a paradox. At first, the sudden wealth brings excitement and a rush of possibilities. Yet, studies show that lottery winners often return to their previous level of happiness, or even feel less satisfied than before. Why does this happen? The answer lies in something called hedonic adaptation. We quickly get used to new circumstances, no matter how positive. Relationships can become strained, and the pressure of managing newfound wealth can lead to stress and isolation. In the end, lasting happiness rarely comes from external windfalls, but from the quality of our daily connections and sense of purpose. Imagine a single grain of sand. Clearly, it's not a heap. Add another, and still, it's just a couple of grains. But at what point does a collection of grains actually become a heap? This is the heart of the Socrates paradox, a classic puzzle that challenges our understanding of vague concepts. The paradox shows how small, seemingly insignificant changes can blur the line between one state and another. It invites us to question where we draw boundaries in everyday life and how our minds handle uncertainty. By exploring this paradox, we gain insight into how language, perception, and logic interact in ways that aren't always as clear-cut as they seem. Imagine a being that knows everything, every fact, every feeling, every secret. But here's the paradox. Can this all-knowing observer truly understand what it feels like to be in the dark, to wonder, to guess? Knowing everything means never experiencing uncertainty or curiosity. Yet not knowing is a fundamental part of being human. It shapes our questions, our growth, and even our connections with others. This paradox challenges the very definition of omniscience. If you know what it's like to not know, do you momentarily lose your all-knowing status? Or is there a way to comprehend ignorance without ever experiencing it? The question invites us to reflect on the limits of knowledge and the unique value of uncertainty in our lives. Consider the paradox of the self-refuting statement. When someone says, this statement is false, it immediately creates a logical puzzle. If the statement is true, then it must be false. But if it's false, then it's actually true. This kind of reasoning challenges the very foundation of how we define truth and contradiction. Philosophers use these paradoxes to explore the limits of language and logic, highlighting how some ideas can twist back on themselves. In practical terms, recognizing self-refuting statements can help you spot flawed arguments and avoid confusion in everyday conversations. It's a reminder that not every claim is as straightforward as it seems, and sometimes, the best way to understand a concept is to question its own assumptions. Imagine an arrow in flight. At every single instant, it seems frozen in place, motionless. This is the paradox of the arrow, first described by the philosopher Zeno. If time is just a series of still moments, how can movement ever occur? It feels counterintuitive, yet we see motion all around us. The answer lies in understanding that movement isn't about a single instant, but about the transition between countless moments. Just as a film is made from still frames that, when played in sequence, create the illusion of motion, our experience of time and movement emerges from the flow between these moments. The paradox of the unexpected exam challenges our intuition about surprise. Imagine a teacher announces that a pop quiz will happen next week, but the day will be a surprise. Students start analyzing. If the quiz hasn't happened by Thursday, it must be on Friday. So Friday can't be a surprise. By similar logic, they eliminate Thursday, then Wednesday, and so on, concluding the quiz can't be a surprise at all. Yet when the teacher gives the quiz midweek, the students are genuinely caught off guard. This puzzle highlights how our expectations and reasoning can sometimes lead us away from reality, showing that surprise can exist even when we try to predict it away. The lottery paradox challenges our intuition about rational belief. Imagine a lottery with thousands of tickets. It's reasonable to believe that any single ticket will lose given the overwhelming odds. Yet, if you extend this logic to every ticket, you end up believing that all tickets will lose, which is impossible since one ticket must win. This paradox exposes a tension between individually rational beliefs and collective consistency. It highlights how our confidence in specific outcomes doesn't always scale up logically. The lesson here is that rationality isn't just about isolated judgments, but also about how those judgments fit together as a whole. The paradox of the omnipotent creator challenges our understanding of power and limits. Imagine a being so powerful that it can create anything. Yet the question arises, can it make something it cannot control? This dilemma exposes a logical puzzle. If the creator can make such a thing, it seems to limit its own power. But if it cannot, then its power is already limited. This paradox invites us to rethink what true omnipotence means and whether absolute control is even possible. It's a fascinating thought experiment that pushes the boundaries of logic and belief. The paradox of the unmoved mover asks a deceptively simple question. If everything in the universe needs a cause, what caused the very first thing? Imagine a line of dominoes. Each one falls because another pushed it. But what about the first domino? Philosophers like Aristotle proposed the idea of an unmoved mover, something that set everything in motion without itself being moved or caused by anything else. This concept challenges our intuition because it suggests there must be an exception to the rule that everything needs a cause. It's a puzzle that sits at the heart of debates about the origins of the universe, inviting us to consider whether some things might simply exist without explanation, or if our understanding of cause and effect is incomplete. The invisible pink unicorn is a classic thought experiment that challenges our understanding of logic and language. At first glance, the idea seems absurd. How can something be both invisible and pink? If it's invisible, we can't see its color, and if it's pink, that color should be visible. This paradox highlights how certain claims can be constructed in ways that make them impossible to disprove, even if they don't make sense. It's a playful way to explore the limits of belief and evidence, reminding us to think critically about the statements we encounter. By questioning the very definitions of invisible and pink, we see how language can sometimes mask contradictions. Imagine a leader who holds unlimited power, yet is guided solely by pure goodness. At first glance, this seems ideal, decisions made with everyone's best interests at heart. But here's the paradox. Absolute power often removes checks and balances, making it easy for even the best intentions to go unquestioned. Over time, the definition of good can become shaped by a single perspective, risking blind spots or unintended harm. True influence and connection thrive on dialogue and mutual respect, not just authority. This raises a critical question. Can anyone truly embody both absolute goodness and absolute power without compromise? The tension between these ideals challenges us to rethink what real leadership and ethical influence look like. A paradox is more than just a riddle. It's a statement or situation that seems to contradict itself, challenging our usual way of thinking. The real paradox is that some can be resolved with deeper insight, while others remain unsolved, inviting endless debate. Take the classic example. This statement is false. If it's true, then it's false. If it's false, then it's true. Some paradoxes, like this one, exist mainly to stretch our minds and highlight the limits of logic. Others, when examined closely, reveal hidden assumptions or flaws in reasoning that can be untangled. So, a paradox isn't just there to puzzle us. It can be a doorway to greater understanding, if we're willing to look beneath the surface. The observer effect is a fascinating paradox. Simply watching or measuring something can actually change what you're trying to observe. Imagine entering a room where people are chatting freely, but as soon as they notice you, their behavior shifts. Voices lower, postures straighten. In physics, even the act of measuring a particle can alter its state. This phenomenon isn't limited to science. It plays out in everyday interactions. When you pay close attention to someone, they often become more self-aware, subtly adjusting their words or actions. The observer effect reminds us that our presence, whether silent or engaged, can influence outcomes, sometimes in ways we don't expect. Schrödinger's cat is one of the most famous thought experiments in quantum physics. It asks us to imagine a cat placed in a sealed box, with a mechanism that has a 50% chance of killing the cat based on a random quantum event. Until someone opens the box and checks, quantum theory suggests the cat is both alive and dead at the same time. A paradox that challenges our everyday logic. This scenario highlights the strange nature of quantum superposition, where particles can exist in multiple states simultaneously. Only when we observe the system does it choose a definite outcome. The experiment isn't about cats, but about how observation shapes reality at the smallest scales. It forces us to question what we really know about the world before we look. Imagine a hotel with an infinite number of rooms, each already occupied by a guest. At first glance, it seems impossible to fit anyone else in. But here's the paradox. With a clever shift, every guest simply moves from their current room to the next one. Room 1 to room 2, 2 to 3, and so on. Suddenly, room 1 is free for a new arrival. Even if an infinite number of new guests show up, the hotel can still accommodate them by moving each current guest to a room with double their original number, leaving all odd-numbered rooms open. This mind-bending scenario, known as Hilbert's Hotel, challenges our intuition about infinity and shows that, in mathematics, endless space can always make room for more. The paradox of the bootstrap asks a deceptively simple question. Can something truly create itself from nothing? At first glance, it seems impossible. How can a system exist before it exists, just to bring itself into being? This idea challenges our basic understanding of cause and effect. In science and philosophy, the bootstrap paradox often appears in discussions about the origins of the universe or time travel, where an effect seems to precede its own cause. It's a mental puzzle that forces us to reconsider what we know about beginnings, creation, and the limits of logic. By exploring this paradox, we open the door to deeper questions about existence and the nature of reality itself. The paradox of the unexpected answer challenges us to consider the limits of knowledge and communication. Imagine asking a question so complex or abstract that no clear answer exists. This isn't just a riddle, it's a way to explore how we think and interact. Sometimes, the act of questioning reveals more than any answer ever could. It pushes us to recognize that not every problem has a tidy solution, and that's perfectly normal. In social situations, acknowledging uncertainty can actually build trust and connection, showing confidence in the face of ambiguity. So, the next time you encounter an unanswerable question, See it as an invitation to reflect, rather than a dead end. Philosophical puzzles have a unique power. They unsettle our certainties while sparking curiosity. As you lie in bed, these questions might stir your mind, gently nudging you to reconsider what you know about reality. Instead of fearing the unknown, let it inspire you. Each puzzle is an invitation to explore, to wonder, and to embrace the mystery that surrounds us. Tonight, allow these thoughts to guide you into deeper reflection, making your journey into sleep a little more intriguing. Sometimes, the most profound insights come when we let go and simply ask,